need that. Greetings, Your Majesties. I honor you as I honor myself. My name is Kithea Bruno, and I'd like to welcome you to Honor Thy Royal podcast, A Self Love Journey. Tonight, our episode is My Son, My Honor, My Legacy. Um, so let's just get right into it. A son is an individual who is born and must yield to instruction. He is a permanent student of his father, um, and a lot of, sadly, even if young men live with their fathers, they don't really yield to their father's instructions. Um, then you have sons who grew up without a father and they don't know how to yield because there was never anyone there. They've had people to love on them, and to guide them, give them instruction, but they don't have to yield to them. But a son is more than just the ward of an adult. A son is a special gift. In my culture, we baby our men. Um, and I've asked other people, how they feel about having sons, and do they feel like there's a preferential treatment having sons over daughters. I asked a few people. Um, the responses were definitely interesting. One response I got was having sons is a lot easier because they are easier to manage versus having an emotional daughter. If you tell your son to stop crying, he will stop crying. If you tell your daughter to stop crying, no matter how old we get, we're going to cry. We are emotionally unstable creatures. But a son is, he is, before he is born, he is born with hopes. He is hopes, like his parents put hopes into having him and their reasons for having him. Um, they already know what sports he's going to play. They already know what his career is going to be. They already know how they're going to train him up to fight, how they're going to train him up to do work. He is born, he's conceived with thoughts of responsibility and hopes of taking over and taking care of those who come before him. Um, and then when he's born and he's old enough, you want to toughen him up, and once he gets to a certain age, there's no more coddling of the son. He's just supposed to automatically know Well, not know. He's supposed to understand that. He's supposed to protect everything within his domain. He's supposed to protect his younger siblings. He's supposed to be part of the team with his older siblings. He's just supposed to automatically be a part of the pack. Back in the Bible days, a son was a blessing because he was an extra pair of hands, an extra pair of feet, additional muscle strength to help carry the workload of the father. So, no matter what, all of the things that your parents have accumulated, it's going to go to the son. No matter what happens, they have a few more. The first son is the heir, the second one is the spare, and everyone after that is, in line. There's a succession. But when it comes to, today in 2024, all of your sons are heirs. If there's something to be inherited, there will be more than one thing to be inherited, and each son will get their inheritance. For sons who grow up working with their hands, sons who grow up being outside with their family members, they learn early on the grass is greener where you water it. So wherever you put your effort and energy into, that's where you're going to yield your reward and reap your harvest. Sadly, in 2024, most young men seem to think the grass is greener on the other side. And even though that's a saying, here's what it really means and what it leads to. If the grass is greener on the other side, that is where you want to be. And if that's where you want to be and you're not there, then enter coveting somebody else's. Enter comparison. Enter jealousy amongst people you're supposed to be in a kingdom with. For any young man, no matter what their upbringing is, their biggest fear is having something and they want something that they care about, they cherish it, home, children, family, it's something that belongs to them. Their worst fear is having to leave that prized possession to defend itself, knowing that the defenses are weakened when he's not there. So we are going to start with what a young man needs to understand. A young man must understand sacrifice, forgiveness, fellowship, yearning, desire, discipline, and integrity. And we'll start slowly. I may not be able to get through all of these, but we'll try. For starters, and this is not just for like adolescent young boys, this is just men who are not married. The first thing I have on here is man up. And what I mean by that in this context is being able to sit down as a young man, whether you are my age, younger, older, You're a young man. Being able to have conversations that lead to change is one of the most difficult tasks men have, whether with each other or whether it's with somebody that they're trying to teach. Having the type of conversations that require change. For example, if you have, let's say it's a brother and sister. Little sister is upset because daddy is not there. Little sister can't stop crying. Brother or sister, doesn't matter. But anywho, young child is distraught over something. Young man is the only person there, experiencing this younger, immature person uh, having their fit. Do you allow the younger person to feel however they're feeling, throw a temper tantrum, go through the motions? Or do you man up and say, hey, I understand right now you are not happy. Something is off. You're missing someone, you're missing someplace, homesick maybe. You didn't get to win the game, whatever the case is. Your job as a young man is to help guide those who cannot understand. So if God gave you an understanding, let's break it down. Somebody's missing someone. Young man is going to either A, just say, hey, this is how it is. You're going to have to get over it. Or B, let me sit down and pull this little one to the side. And it might even be someone older than you. I've had a lot of those. And you sit them down and you come down to their level of understanding. A lot of people will, think that men are more logical than emotional. Meanwhile, men are using their logic to understand. Dad had to leave because dad had to go to work today. He's going to be gone for quite some time because he's doing what he needs to do so that we can live where we live and have the life that we have. So I need you to understand he's not here right now. The person who's missing dad might, feel like, how could you not care? He needs to be here. He's supposed to be here. How can you not care? Meanwhile, the young man with the understanding, it's not that he doesn't care. He understands this is life. This is something that has to happen. There's no need for me to be distraught about something that has to happen. This is the way it's supposed to happen. And if I have this understanding, then I don't have to be sad. It doesn't mean I don't feel anything. I just don't have to express it like everyone else. I understand what it is. And to be able to give that understanding or share that understanding, it does not always translate well. Prime example, when women are going through things and the men in their lives are, trying to give the solution, as it were. And what that really means, he already understands the parts of the situation that might cause someone to be emotional. He does not have the bandwidth or the time to be super emotional. He still has other things to do. So he understands your situation. He does not have to react to your situation the way you are. That doesn't help anybody. He's trying to help you move forward. And the quicker he can help you understand, the quicker he's hoping you'll be able to move on. It just doesn't always um, work out that way. Um, young men in leadership. This actually, most of these things are not conversations that people have with young men, but leadership begins with you. How you lead your life, your own life, from a young age all the way into adulthood, that is your leadership style. And leadership is something that is supposed to be taught. It's supposed to be passed down. It's supposed to be somewhat traditional. If you grew up in a household where there were no rules, you could get away with anything as a child, then you're going to grow up with no rules, no boundaries, just doing whatever you want to. If you grew up in a household where you had expectations placed on you, mom made dinner, you're going to eat everything on your plate. If you signed up for sports, you're going to finish the season. Um, if you have, your own room or toys, you're going to clean up after yourself. And when a child grows up in a household that has structure, they grow up appreciating the structure. They can, even when they get to college, you can have two roommates in a dorm. Somebody is super tidy, respects, noise levels. They're not trying to be too loud to disrupt the other person because they understand that they're not the only person in that room. Meanwhile, they have a roommate that grew up with no boundaries, does not set alarm clocks, is late for everything, waits until the last minute to do homework. That might make him a little, it might grind his gears because someone else lacking boundaries or lacking structure, it is, it can become annoying. It can become annoying. And the only way for them to be able to coexist is going to be for the person who is accustomed to structure, who may even be a little bit more mature as a result of the structure, manning up and saying, hey, I have class on these days at these times. This is what time I like to go to sleep. When you stay up playing your video games, into the wee hours, it keeps me up. It's no slight, but I'm letting you know how your behavior affects me. And in this way, I'm not trying to push you away, but rather I'm trying to make it so we both come to a level of understanding where we can live together, where we can exist together. Young men as servants. 1 Colossians 1 verse 16. The Son is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For in him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, things that are visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities. All things have been created through him for him. And this is specifically speaking of Jesus, but as a son and a servant, everything is created for us, through us. Even with the advancement of AI, it was created to help mankind. It's supposed to help us, and it's being created through us. Um, as a servant, you have you're surrounded by people. You are surrounded by places, things, pets, nature, and all of these things are here to help make our lives a lot more beautiful. The home that you decide to live in, it's going to be filled with memories that you create with the people in your life. For adult men who um, are, single adult living on their own, wherever you live, whether it's an apartment, a condo, a house, a mansion, a boat, an RV, wherever you live, that is your castle. And anywhere your castle is situated, that is your kingdom. And within that kingdom, that area of operation, the people who are around you and your home are within your domain. So if you see somebody who is struggling to cross the street, whether you know them by name and you know their birthday, their favorite color, and all that good stuff or not, as a young man, you serve others. You are a blessing to be a blessing on purpose. So you're going to help an elderly person get across the street. You are going to help the young kid that just fell off of their bike and scraped their knee. You are going to help the pregnant, expecting mother who who dropped something on the ground and is unable to pick it up. That is how you serve. You're going to, you know, talk to people. You are going to spread your positivity. You're going to smile genuinely at people so that they know that you are safe to talk to. Some men don't want to be approachable. I understand this. However, the level at which you decide you don't want anyone to approach you means that you are now withholding the resource that is you from the people who could use it. And one thing about a young man of God, you are going to serve. You are going to fellowship. And the people you fellowship with on a regular basis, they're going to be the first set of people that you serve. And this is usually starting at home. I understand that there are a lot of dysfunctional homes, but you will still find a way to make yourself useful and helpful on purpose. Or else, why are you there? For a lot of people, it's just, well, I'm here because I'm not old enough to live on my own. Okay, not a problem. When you do become of age to live on your own, how are you going to serve the people around you? Are you going to want to serve? Because the heart of a servant, it is something that you renew every day. I don't want to be by myself, so I interact with other people. For a young man, usually, if it's not at home that they can be useful, like I said, in my culture, we spoil our men. So there's not really much for them to do in the house. The girls are usually the ones taking care of the house because his job is to focus on his studies, get good grades, to get the job that pays him money so that he can take care of his household the way they've taken care of him. It's not like that for everyone. And serving is not limited to, you know, you physically bending over to do something for someone. It might just be, you might just be graduating, and, somebody at your graduation party is excited. They have not graduated yet, their turn is coming. You can serve this person by encouraging them, hey, your next level up is coming. So no matter what, stay focused. Get the grades, to get the job, to get the money. Stay focused. Let's go back. A young man is honorable, carrying and living in the customs, traditions, and morals that make heaven smile down on him. A young man is a student, mastering the lessons and teachings he receives. Jeremiah 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. For any student, and not just, traditional educational system, but for any young man who is a student, one of the greatest lessons you're going to learn is understanding if someone is taking the time to teach you something, there is a reason for it. While you're going through the process, while you're learning, you might have tests, you're not scoring 100% on them. It's okay. It's practice because it's not real life yet. But if you trust in the process, if you trust the teaching, then you are going to yield the results that come from learning and mastering those lessons, even in keeping with customs and traditions. I'm not a son, I have brothers, and I was the first girl born to my immediate family. My mom and dad are the eldest of their siblings. But I do have, on my family, we don't have that many girls. It's a lot of boys. Um, but yeah, when you are learning, when a young man is learning, he might not want to do all of the things that his father and grandfather did. However, because he honors those who came before him, he's going to keep certain traditions. And in my opinion, because I am multiracial, there are a lot of traditions and customs. And for me, not all of them serve me. And the reason that they do not serve me is because I don't understand the why. I don't understand why it was so important to those who came before me, because they were not able to sit me down to explain, hey, this is why we do this, versus you need to do this. I don't even know why I'm doing it. For a young man, traditions tend to get lost on the young men of this generation because nobody has had to sit them down to explain this is what our last name means. So before you go giving it away to somebody, you need to understand what your name means. You need to understand what you carry. And like I said, for me, a young man is anyone who's not married. And if you're not married, no matter how old you are, the acorn still carries the full potential of the mighty oak tree. And what that means is, no matter where you are in life, as a young man, your seed and everything that is in you has the ability to be just as great as everyone who came before you. And not only that, because you're living in a time that those who came before you did not, you learn what they have taught you and you couple it with your life experiences and what you have learned. And in doing so, you're going to find a way to take what has already been taught from the past and integrate it with what you know in your present so that you can help your future seed. You are going to continue to plant acorns in your children. They're going to have all of the potential that you have as their father, their uncle, their brother, as the young man that you are. Everyone that you come into contact with, you are going to be able to plant a seed that comes directly from your spirit as long as you keep your spirit disciplined and strengthened. And we'll get to that later if we can. A young man is one who is willing to counsel and guide others toward what is right and what is good before God. John 15, verse 14. You are my friends if you do what I command. I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know his master's business. Message. Instead, I have called you friends, for everything that I learned from my Father, I have made known to you. There's another verse in the Bible where Jesus is speaking and says, there's no greater gift than that of a friend who is willing to lay down his life. A friend is somebody who genuinely cares about your well-being, about your future, about your dreams, about your legacy, and it's not even theirs. They just want to see you win on purpose. To be a good friend, let's say you were raised up to be very disciplined and you renew your mind daily and you do what is right. Then the people you have around you can't have a corrupt character. It doesn't. You got to make it make sense. You're going to find other people who uphold the same, who believe in the same paths of growth as you. And what that means is, if I have a friend, as a guy, if I have a friend who is structured and disciplined and they do all the right things and they're the type of guy that all of the ladies love, but he is not loving all of the ladies, and I'm the type of person as a guy who did not grow up like that, being around this person, it might start off as making fun of them. Like, why do you do this? Why do you act this way? And people tend to make fun of what they don't understand. Then after a while, rather than that person getting upset, they're willing to explain their character and their behavior, their thoughts, their logic. So now, between these two, they're exchanging understanding, they're exchanging ideas, they're exchanging traditions. So, where I, as the loose cannon, might, judge them for being holier than thou, they're going to explain to me, no, I'm not holier than thou. I hold myself to a higher standard. This is why I hold myself to a higher standard. And they, explain what that is. Me, as the loose cannon, I might say, you know what? I can appreciate what that person just explained to me. I actually would like to incorporate that and see how it works for me. In doing so, that person's light, that person's love, that person's logic, that person's understanding has now fallen on my ears, and I'm choosing not to be deaf with what has just been explained to me as the loose cannon friend. So now I'm starting to change in my behaviors. The holier than thou friend, I'll find a nicer way to put that. The person of higher caliber, we'll go with that. They're not making fun of me. They are encouraging me to do better. They want to see me win. And being as though they're watching me purposely and intentionally change my behavior, not just to copy them, but because I willingly want to change from the inside out, because they see the effort that I'm putting in, and I'm asking them questions that are going to help clarify things so that I can do better, and they're willing to answer those questions. They're going to want to see, how much better I can become. If I'm the loose cannon, you like it, I love it. However, I still know that you have the potential to do better, but I don't have your potential. All I can do is encourage you not to waste your potential and do better. If you know better, you do better. And that is part of a young man's maturity. A young man as a lover. One who intentionally nurtures, nourishes, replenishes, and prays for wisdom to steward who, what, and where God has tasked him to pour into. Lover, by basic definition, the ending ER means one who, and then the root word is what they do. So one who loves, willingly nourishes what he loves, willingly replenishes who and what he loves. If your house is in need of maintenance, you are going to replenish your pantry, you're going to go to the grocery, you're going to call electricians, you're going to call plumbers, whatever you need to make sure you're putting care into your home. If you have a car, a lot of guys like cars. My little cousin had a car club, and I'm smiling because I will forever be proud of him. I taught him and his friends how to drive stick shift. They ended up teaching me how to become a better racer. Corey, and for their cars, I mean, even for mine, my cousin always made sure my cars had the nicest lip kits. My uncle gave me my first Celica when I was 16, and it had a custom paint job. Like, they really, really, really put a lot of care into their cars, into anything that they care about. If it's someone who's into fitness, they care about their body. I have a few friends who only eat fruits and vegetables. I have friends who are pescatarian. I have friends who are vegans, but they work out like crazy. They make sure that they're doing what they need to make sure that their muscles and their organs are functioning at optimum levels. When men care about something, it's almost like they have tunnel vision over it. They can ignore everything else, but the things that they care about is just right here. And it's what they're going to always, pour attention into, even if they don't understand or realize how much attention they're paying to it. In this episode, I'm not going to talk about a young man. I did not want to talk about a young man and a relationship, but I'll get to that in a little bit. A young man as a protector, one who defends what has been given to him and takes responsibility and accepts responsibility for what may go wrong. I would like to take this time to just explain. Men are built, they are born and bred to be protectors. And what this means, because a lot of people, men and women included, do not understand what this actually means. It's not always going to be, a man physically defending and protecting what he cares about from something else. But when it does come down to that, imagine, if you will, let's just say 5 brothers, all of them are different ages. Someone is, walking by, driving by with ill intent. The oldest brother understands because they're always surveying the area while walking with their other brothers. The youngest brother might be under the age of 15 and, incrementally the other 3. If something were to happen, the older brothers are going to understand what's about to happen. They are going to mentally put themselves in a place ready, knowing I have to get the rest of these guys home no matter what. So they might tell the youngest brothers, hey, walk ahead of us and go straight home. That's it. Well, why do we have to go blah, blah, blah? I told you what it is. Go home. Go straight home right now. And when your brother talks to you and he is like trying not to like be upset with you, once he talks, all right, this is not, up for debate. I'll see you at home. Meanwhile, the older brothers understand something's about to happen. The younger ones don't need to see this yet. I'm going to protect the younger siblings by sending them away so that they don't have to see what's about to happen and what's coming next. Second oldest brother and the middle brother might all be of age where they can handle whatever's about to come next. So they have now protected the younger ones by sending them away so that they don't have to see what they're actually about to protect them from. Now, the people with bad intentions come closer and these three now have to stand guard. Because if they allow these people with bad intentions to get past them, then that means that their two younger brothers may end up getting hurt. And worse than that, the two younger brothers and the entire household may now be in danger. So now they're going to do what they need to do. Let's just say it ends in a physical altercation. The younger brothers may have, went home, but they didn't go inside. So now they're seeing this altercation and they're watching their brothers fight for their lives. They don't understand what's happening, but they see what's happening. They don't know why it's happening, but they see what's happening. And to watch somebody you care about, destroying somebody else, another human being, just to protect you and everything else that's in that house, that's a different level. That's a different level of protection. Because now when they come into the house, you are seeing that they are hurt, they're bruised, they might not even want to talk, but they made it back home. For you, you're just wondering what happened. For them, they're just glad that you're safe. And in that one altercation, 3 different levels of protection have just occurred. You protected the ones you love from seeing evil by sending them away. You protected the home that you love by never letting that evil reach them. And you defended what you love with your life and the strength that God gave you as a man. These are things that are not supposed to be taken lightly. So the saying, and I say it all the time, don't let the necessary occur. What is necessary will be to give my life to protect what I care about. However, as a girl, watching my brother, watching my cousins, especially my dad, watching them move the way that they had to keep us safe, I appreciate it because I understand nursing those wounds after the fact. Seeing, people after they've been shot or stabbed, hit by a car, whatever the case is, seeing them while they're recovering is not a pleasant sight. So no, I'm not going to put myself in the way of danger and then call somebody to come and save me. That they're going to risk their life no matter what for me. But I don't want them to risk their life because I value their lives. And for anybody who has a young man in their life who has taken the responsibility to protect them and accepts the responsibility that protecting this place, this person, this thing means that I have to lay down my life if the necessity should arise, that's a different level of love. My life is my life. Why would I want to sacrifice it for someone who doesn't care about it? And as a man, you carry so much. Your life is supposed to be a reflection of so much honor. And for any man who is not married, no matter how old you are, the people who you have around you are supposed to be just as honorable. And even if they're not yet, and that's the power of yet, even if they're not as honorable as they could be, they still have growing to do. But every single man has honor, has pride, has love, has a capacity to grow in all of those areas while carrying their legacy, while carrying their family name, while adding value to their bloodline. This is what a man does. A woman does not know what a man goes through unless you explain it to us. And by you explaining it to us, then guess what? the things that you hold dear, the things that you take pride in, the things that you honor, the duties that you choose to be bound by, which means you will do them no matter what. No matter how you're feeling, you're going to get up and go to work. No matter how you're feeling, you're going to come home and play with your kids. No matter how you're feeling, if you're married, you're going to cherish the time that you have with your wife. You didn't have her while you were single. But all of these things, when you explain it to your wife and children, guess what? They now share in what you honor. They share your pride. They share in your legacy because they're going to help you carry it as a result of them understanding it. Weight is not just like something that is heavy. Weight is the value that something carries. So if, for example, um, my dad was not very affectionate. Um, like I had to like teach my parents to say I love you. It's not something that, the cultures, French, Haitian, Dominican, none of those three cultures, French does, but the other two don't really have an I love you. There are words that describe these things, but they don't have I love you. So for my dad, it was, how do I know you care about me if you don't tell me you love me? Well, I'm taking care of you. Well, that's a responsibility. I didn't ask to be born. So how do I know you love me and I'm not just a chore? He didn't really have an answer. And after a while, I had to ask him, Daddy, can you tell me I love you when I say it back to you? And no matter, he would always start off with reminding me, I didn't grow up that way, but I will do it for you. This is something that he understood as a man that his daughter wants to hear. He understands that it means a lot to me. And because it means a lot to me and I mean a lot to him, he will value what I'm asking him to do for me. Even if it means breaking him out of what he's used to. He's okay to break out of that shell because he loves me. Um, Go figure. Young man as a father, one who instructs through and with love those he and his own wife have brought into this world, one who surrenders his life and will for the betterment of his family, tribe, and kingdom. A young king in training is one who is maturing to strengthen his spirit for the sake of the kingdom yet to be. A young man who is God-fearing is one who lives under God's grace and mercies and understands that failure occurs when he chooses his will and desires over the good of his future kingdom marriage, his future kingdom family, and his future legacy. He chooses to grow in the ways of the Lord on purpose because God will never fail him. Breaking God's heart is breaking his own heart because God lives in him on purpose. These are all things that we can say it with our mouths. We can write it. We can even tattoo it on our bodies. But if you're not living it, you're going to forget how important all of those words are. And the words I specifically am talking about is God lives on the inside of you. If you acknowledge the fullness of God and understand he created everything that you can complain about, everything that you can say you care about, and he created the things that you have yet to see. He's a very big God, and he's on the inside of you, young man. No matter what you do, no matter what you want to do, young man, you have God living on the inside of you. You cannot do what everybody else is doing. You can't be like everybody else. You weren't even called to fit in. You were called to be a royal priesthood. You were chosen to be part of a royal priesthood. You were called to be light. The world is full of people that carry darkness on the inside of them, but you, young men, you can't do that. The God on the inside of you is too precious, too valuable. He is the heavyweight champion of everything on the inside of you. This is the main reason why you can't fail at anything you do. What? Even if somebody were to start talking about failure, that's not something you are even accustomed to. And you'll even start to realize, because God is on the inside of you, if you should experience a setback, it's just a setback. That's it. That's all it is. You have not failed. The only way you fail at something is if you allow yourself to die knowing you could have done more, knowing you could have done better, knowing you could have used more time to do what you needed to do. But in everything you do, so long as you understand that you're carrying it for the glory of God, you can't fail. He can't fail you. So if he cannot fail you, young man, you can't fail. You can have learning experiences, definitely. That's all it is. And if you failed yesterday, it's a setback. So if you experienced a setback yesterday, today is a new day, young man. Get back out there. You got bigger fish to fry. And as a young man in training, a young king in training, how can you aspire to be a great king, anointed by the King of Kings, living on the inside of you? How can you expect to be a great king doing the bare minimum? Then you would be a bare minimum king. Make that make sense. You have a great God on the inside of you, but you can only muster up enough courage and energy and faith to do the bare minimum. Mm-mm. 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 But what you can do, no matter if you are below the minimum, doing the bare minimum, just a little above the bare minimum, I'm going to encourage you, young man, go the extra mile. It's never crowded. You know why? Because not too many people have the courage to do the extra work. But when you do the extra work with the glory of God, in partnership with the kingdom of heaven, nobody can do what you do. Nobody will be able to do what you do the way you do it, because there's only one you. And because you do the extra, the bare minimum is like something you can do in your sleep. It gets to a point where you don't really have to try, because nobody else even knows how to get up to your level to begin with. Then when you have children, you're teaching them how to do extra, and it becomes their bare minimum. So then if that's their bare minimum and they're young, you young men have an entire open book to encourage them to go farther and do even better. So if you were doing the extra work, you went the extra mile all the time. Now you're teaching somebody else to do that same extra, and it's their bare minimum. Could you imagine how far you would be encouraging them to go if they go the extra mile, which will still be a route that you have never taken, because you've done what was considered extra in your generation. But the next generation they haven't even gotten there yet. They haven't even blossomed and matured into their own full potential. So now you're doing nothing but breeding out other people, whether they're your younger siblings, whether they are your children, whether they are your lover. You are now breeding into them, pouring into them a type of encouragement that they cannot get from anywhere else, because who else is doing the extra work that you're doing? Oh, nobody? Oh. So then that means you're A, a one-of-a-kind gentleman. B, you are, the works that you do are extremely rare because there's not another you. And the understanding that you have and are able to pass on to the other people you're pouring out into, they're not going to get it from anywhere else, because you're the only one who understands what you understand. You're the only one who's going to have so much pride and so much joy in the things that you care about as a man. And if you put that much effort and energy into the things that you care about, how dare you surround yourself with people who can't understand that? That means you're devaluing the things that you care about. So if you're around people who value you, they're going to value the things that you value. They're going to encourage you to do the things that you care about doing. They might not be able to encourage you on what else you should do, where else you should go, but they're going to encourage you to do what it is that is driving you, because they know that you following your dreams, you following your purpose, you living out your life and living out God's will over your life makes you you. And then you get to encourage other people to live out their best life with God in partnership with the kingdom of heaven. So then the parts of heaven that God has already given you as an heir to the kingdom of heaven with Christ, you get to pull that down. And while you're pulling down your piece of heaven, you're encouraging other people to pull down their pieces of heaven. So then the people that you have around you are all pulling down pieces of heaven. So no matter who you're talking to, no matter where you go, there's a piece of heaven following you around because of the people that you're connected to, in addition to your piece of heaven that you're already cultivating here on earth. That's all on you, young man. I'm just saying. A young man is accountable, one who accepts in advance the punishments for those he has accepted responsibility over, which are usually his children and his wife. Hebrews 4, verse 13 through 16. For the word of God is alive and active, sharper than any double-edged sword. It penetrates even to dividing soul and spirit, joints and marrow. It judges the thoughts and attitudes of the heart. Nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid bare before the eyes of him to whom we must give account. Responsibility and accountability are two different things. Responsibility means I have either been given something to cherish, protect, and care for, or I have taken something and will be responsible for, I will, carry out what I need to care for it, pour love into it, and all that good stuff. Accountability. mm, 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 mm. Side note, I had a friend who said women want the responsibility without the accountability. I understand. And I agree. Doesn't apply to everybody. But accountability means being as though time is running out, I will make it for a husband and wife, and then I'll break it down from there. I am a single woman. Any promises or commitments that I have made, God will acknowledge them, and I will be expected to keep those promises. If I get married, my covering is no longer my own. It is that of my husband's. As his wife, he is accepting the responsibility to love on me, to nurture me, to help me grow, and to steer me in the right path that I should go with him. Accountability for me, completely different story. Accountability for me as his wife means if I have promises or commitments that I have made prior to us getting married, and those engagements are going to take from him, I wish I could remember what scripture it was. But anywho, he is allowed to tell me no. I may not be able to break the promises that I made, but once I get married, my promises become his promises. And if it's something that he does not want, he has the right to tell me no, because I'm no longer my own. I literally belong to him. I literally submit to him and his covering. As a young man who is not married, accountability means I have accepted responsibility of this commitment, engagement, whatever, promise. And if I renege, fall back, and renege just means renegotiate. After terms have already been set, God has the right to judge me as a man. He has the right to punish me for the things that I failed to do after giving my word, after making that commitment. For in 2024, a young man's biggest endeavor to be responsible or accountable is in the relationships that he cultivates with the opposite sex. For every single heart that I break as a man, every single woman's feelings, emotions, heart, whatever, that I accept responsibility for and I fail her, God has the right to punish me because I am a man. I'm supposed to honor my words. I am a man. I'm supposed to honor my commitments, or else why commit to them? I could have just said no. Accountability, when people forget about the God that's living on the inside of them, they feel as though that they're only accountable to themselves, YOLO, or they're only accountable to the people that they care about. And I saw this thing today where, today, this young man said he got married and he had been saving up his money since he was 16 years old. He got married, his wife finished college, and without asking him, she had only contributed $10,000 to the savings account that he had. He had over $220,000 in it. And when she started contributing, they got up to $250,000. She took all of his money and paid off her student loans. In marrying her, he's responsible for her and he is accountable for her and her actions. I'm very happy he didn't, immediately file for divorce and ask for all of his money back. But what he did do is start to garnish his wife's paychecks. And he asked if he was wrong. And I bring that up to say this. A lot of people, have grown up with the notion it's easier to ask for forgiveness after the fact than it is to ask for permission before the act. Being accountable means I'm going to take it to God first and foremost, first, second, third, last, umpteenth. I'm going to take it to God and I'm going to ask for permission. Lord, is this the way that I should go? Lord, is this the person that I should be with? Lord, are these the friends that I should have around me? Lord, is this the job that you have for me? And if I'm asking for permission, that means that there is a possibility, there's a 50-50 chance God might say, no, young man, not this one, not this job, not this investment, no, no, no. Or he can say, yes, go for this job. Yes, go to this particular school. Yes, play this game, sports, whatever. But if I decide I'm going to lean on my own understanding, this is what my flesh wants, I'm going to ignore the God that's living on the inside of me, watching me live my life, YOLO. I'm going to ignore all of that and do what I want, and then I'll pray for God to forgive me later. He's not obligated to. He will, but you're going to face punishment. He will forgive you, but you're going to have to be held accountable. Because as a man, your word is everything. Growing up, I was born in Brooklyn, grew up there. Your word is your bond, which means the words you speak, not only are they on each side of that sword called your tongue, but you are now bonding yourself, your soul, your spirit, your legacy, your future, your present. You are bonding yourself to the words that you are speaking. So if you're speaking on coveting something, you are bonding yourself to that sin. If you're speaking on, I want to see how many girls I can get, you are bonding. You are placing yourself in bondage based on your own desires. God never had that for you. That's not part of the plan for your life. You're never supposed to be in bondage. But the words that you speak are supposed to hold you accountable. They're supposed to uphold your integrity. They're supposed to reflect the honor that you carry on the inside of you for the glory of God. As a young man, you are God's friend. Adam was created first for a reason. And again, it's not to say that women are any less, but God had a special purpose for every single young man. You're supposed to be one of his closest friends. When Jesus died on that cross for you, he already set a place for you, young man, to sit at his right-hand side. So, young man, you are God's friend and you're Jesus's right-hand man. It hasn't hit you yet. Maybe because you still need to talk to the God that's on the inside of you. That's your best friend. Hey, friend. I mean, guys don't talk like that, but, you know, I don't know how guys would say, you know, what's up to each other. Just head nod, maybe. I don't know. But God is waiting to give you a hug. He is waiting to give you a mansion inside of his mansion. He is waiting to give you everything that you want and more. And for any young man out there that might be feeling like, this is too much, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not saved enough, my flesh is stronger than my spirit, so I can't give up certain addictions. I can't zoom in, but baby, you're supposed to take everything that you are, and you're not going to be enough without partnering with God. So any addictions you might have, whether it's addiction to sex or anything that leads to sex, whether it's an addiction to drugs, whether it's an addiction to something that's preventing you from getting a great night's sleep, you give it to God. Starting with, Lord, I come to you now and I bring you this weakness of mine. I bring you this issue of mine. I bring you this addiction of mine. And I am asking that you strengthen me where I am weakened. And when you give God your not enough on purpose and willingly, he is going to willingly accept it. And he is going to give you his supernatural blessing. And you are going to live in the overflow. And if it's something that you need to recover from, while you're recovering, understand that is going to be where you are going to be tempted and tested the absolute most. After Jesus fasted for 40 days and 40 nights and he went up to the mountain, that is what happened. But in going up to the mountain, that was Jesus' recovery time. After fasting for so long, after doing so much healing, he needed to replenish himself. And rather than being able to rest, the enemy came with more temptation. The enemy came with greater rewards. That's when you're going to be tested, is when you are recovering from something that you have given to God. And when you give something to God, you cannot pray and worry. You cannot pray and doubt. Once you give it to God, you gave it to him because you could not handle it. So why would you take it back? And we'll take it one step further. Once you give it to God, the only thing after that literally is yes and amen. Lord, I give you this issue of mine. I bring it to you and I lay it down at your feet. I don't want it anymore. I can't handle it anymore. Whatever the case is. And once you pray and you say amen, amen means it is done. It means, Lord, I give you this desire of mine. I give you this thought of mine. I give you this house of mine. I give you this job. I give you this paycheck. I give you my child. I give you my wife. I give you my brother. Once you give it to him and you say amen, it is done. I have now already given God my issue. I have already given God my family. I have already given God my finances. I've already given God my job. Once I say amen, it's done. There's nothing left for me to do. And again, you cannot pray and worry. You cannot pray and doubt. So if someone if no one ever explained to you what it means to come to God, please understand. He created you. You were always his to be redeemed. He created you on purpose to be his friend. He created you on purpose to win this land. He gave us complete dominion over the earth. You know why that is such a big deal? Because we are earth. We are made of the earth. We are made of the very thing that he gave you dominion over. And if you don't know how to exercise your dominion, if you don't know how to conquer your flesh is of the earth. It's something that you have dominion over. It's something that God already conquered for you. Give it back to him if it's too heavy for you. Lord, this is what I'm struggling with in my flesh. Lord, I don't want to be seen as the weaker man amongst my peers of other testosterone-filled mammals. But for the most part, sir, you have God inside of you. There's nothing that you cannot do as long as you give it back to God. And he wants you to give it back to him. He wants you to give him something to do for you. He wants to be able to show and prove to you, young man, that he is your God and your friend. You serve a God who serves you. And I'm going to say that again. You, young man, serve a God who serves you. So the least you could do is allow him to work for you. Allow him to move for you. He wants to. He's waiting to. And if you are a single dad, you have children. Your kids, they don't know what they want. They don't know what how they're supposed to move. All they know is, if I ever need something, my daddy got me. I say it all the time because of how I was raised. My dad, my dad was nothing nice. My dad was nothing nice. But he was everything. I could walk around, living my best life, knowing nobody could touch me, period, because you don't want my dad to come here. And if you think you're about to get me or my brother in trouble by calling my dad, you're right. And the power of his presence alone made people rethink whatever it is you were about to do or say. Because you don't want my dad's, you don't want him as your enemy. His thing, it doesn't matter. But anywho, as a young man of God, your presence speaks volumes. And when you have the Spirit of God on you, when you are operating in grace, in favor, in mercy, in forgiveness, in love, there's nothing you cannot do. So when you pray, again, you can't pray and worry. You can't pray and say, Lord, I need you to do this, and then worry, how am I going to figure it out? Wait, how did you give it to God and you're still trying to figure out how you're going to do it? You're supposed to trust and obey. You're supposed to wait to hear what God downloads into you as a plan of action. You cannot pray and doubt. Lord, I bring this to you. This is the outcome that I would like, but I don't know how's he gonna make it happen. This is what I want it to look like. This is what it needs to sound like. This is what it needs to smell like. I don't know if God, that might be a little too much for me to be asking God to do. This isn't a Disney movie. No, it's not a Disney movie. It's a God movie, and God can do anything but fail. If that's what you said you wanted God to do, as long as you include in there, Father, this is what I would like, and I pray that this is a part of your will. And once you pray and say amen, it is done. Now, if it's not in his will, he will let you know. And you have to be man enough to understand if he says, no, I don't want you to do this. I don't want you to go here. I don't. He has something better for you. He has something greater for you. He has something more for you. And hope in what else God has for you should always, always supersede whatever your doubt was, whatever your fear was, whatever caused you to have to pray to him about it. None of that matters, because once you pray and say amen, he's going to make sure he aligns your will with his. And he will always bring you to your destination. There's so much more that I could talk about, but yeah, it is almost 9:30. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it here. But I will say this. As a woman, I genuinely appreciate the men that I have in my bloodline and the men that are not in my bloodline but love me like a sister. I don't ever have to worry about certain things. No matter how hot-headed someone might be, I never have to worry that they would use anything to hurt me. And if they would do something like that, God is going to deal with them. And I have absolute confidence. Listen, again, I may not react the way the world would expect me to. God has an answer for you. Who am I to get in God's way? What? It's also the reason why it's easy for me as a woman to, hold my integrity and keep my honor. Because anything that would move me off my square is something that God already gave me the authority to conquer and overcome. And anyone, any place, anything that would purposefully and intentionally try to get me off my square, because of who my daddy is, I'm not afraid of none of y'all. The God of vengeance will stand up for his chosen people. And if you, young man, have been called to this royal priesthood, anything less than a yes is asking for God's judgment over your life. And you don't want that. You'd rather be living in his overflow. And oh my gosh, that song is fire. Fire, fire, fire. Pastor Mike Todd, you did the thing. I know it's not just you on there alone. But that song is, ooh. For anyone who has not heard it, definitely download it, play it. And for any other young man, another great song is Winning by Pastor Mike. But there's a whole playlist. If there's ever a reason that you doubt something, that you are afraid of something, if there's ever something that's holding you back from doing what you know needs to get done by you, young man, there is a song that will speak to your spirit. There is a scripture that will help de escalate the confusion. And usually, confusion for men is brought on, because your spirit and your flesh are fighting each other. And you are supposed to be the tiebreaker. And you're supposed to lean more towards the things that nourish your spirit. But the world will have you think just gratify your flesh. Meanwhile, every time you do that, you are, shooting holes in your own home. God is supposed to live on the inside of you. If you are purposefully destroying the inside of your heart, the inside of your mind, the inside of your body, the inside of your soul by doing the things that you should not be doing, he can't stay there. Now, just because he can't stay there doesn't mean he's not watching over you, doesn't mean he's not still protecting you. There's a song, Fudge Biscuits. I can't think of the name of the song right now. Even if I pull up my playlist, I wouldn't be able to know which song it is. But the words say, if I make my bed in hell, he's there. Which means no matter where you, young man, allow you to lead you, God is going to be watching over you. The reason why you get to wake up, even if you wake up in a place you don't want to be, that was a choice. But even if that is the case, God is the one breathing life into your lungs. He's the one giving you another day to do better. He's the one giving you another chance to learn better so you can do better, so you can then teach better. You are made to be a conqueror. And guess what you're supposed to conquer? Anything that is against the kingdom of heaven. Because for everything you conquer in your life, young man, you are advancing God's glory. You didn't do it on your own. You did it through God's strength. And God let his glory be known through you on purpose for a reason. Because you are more than a conqueror. You're an overcomer. You're the son of the King of Kings. You are the vessel that God created to be strong on purpose. You are the man that God chose to lead your household, your family. You are the vessel that God is using to make sure if there are any enemies, no matter how tall you are, no matter how strong you are, regardless of your physical attributes, God created you on purpose to win for him. You're not supposed to lose. If you have a setback, guess what? I don't have a rubber band. But anywho, if you experience a setback, it's something that is meant to stretch you past your limits. Limits are meant to be broken. So if you have limited yourself into, certain mindsets, certain actions, if you have limited yourself and you experience a setback based on you trying to move on your own strength, on your own merits, that setback is supposed to stretch you so that you can go farther than wherever you thought you were going to land. And he did it that way on purpose because you are meant to be stretched. You're meant to be pressed down. You're meant to be shaken. So he can put you together, back together, even greater than before. more than an overcomer, more than a conqueror, more than just a mere man. You are the Son of God. You are meant for so much more. You are meant for greater honors. You are meant to steward an entire nation of people. You guys keep going to the day you die. We stop at a certain age. He did it that way on purpose. There is nothing on the inside of you that is meant to just fall off and die unless it does not serve the kingdom of heaven. You are a leader for the kingdom of heaven. You are a supporter of the kingdom of heaven. You are one of the pillars of the kingdom of heaven. You are the source, the foundation of your household. Whether you are married or not, as a man of God, everything that is meant to win on the inside of you is on the inside of you. And until you decide to partner with God to do the things that you need to do, it's still on the inside of you. It doesn't go anywhere. And if God needs you to hurry up and do something, he's going to make sure you understand the assignment. And the only reason you would not understand the assignment is if you choose not to understand. And even in our stubbornness, God loves us. But when it comes to a man, God already understands. He has seen what jealousy does. He has seen what chasing after somebody else's wife does. He has seen in 2024 that a lot of men are okay with being the side dude. You were never meant to play such a small role. Ever. You're meant to be a king. No king is, a side king. That doesn't even sound right. Take your power back. It's still on the inside of you. What you choose to give your power to are usually the things that, gratify the flesh. But what would happen if an entire nation of young men were to turn their hearts to God and ask him, Lord, what is my purpose for you? What is it you want me to do? How would you like me to bring down heaven? He's going to give you everything. And even, I say all the time, a man is supposed to have certain things in place. He is. That's how God created it. And if you don't have those things in place, it's not the end of the world. You're still alive. He's still giving you a chance to do what you need to get to where you're going. If you are between the ages of 22 and younger, it's okay to stay living at home. Save your money up. Pay off your student loans while you're still living at home, and then buy your house. If you are older than 30 and you still live at home, it better be because you are building your kingdom. And if it's not, but you're still needing the help of your parents, they're not going to be there forever. They're not going to be able to sustain all of their children forever. Back in the day, I know somebody who literally has, I think it's 18 of them. Sorry, Mr. Costin. But anywho, back in those days, people had multiple children to help sustain, the household. And their parents would never have to worry, about getting too old because there's always somebody that's either A, still in the household, or B, old enough to care for those who came after. So whatever it is you need to do to get to where you're going, my pastor is like a goal setting guru. And start with the plan. What does your future self look like? Where does your future self live? What type of a man are you wanting to be? What does honor mean to you? What does your integrity look like? What virtues do you hold dear? And of all of these things, how would you like to pass that down to your next generation? Because the things that you hold as an honor, whoever you bring into your circle, they should want to honor those same things. Even if they don't carry it within their households, if they are going to be a part of your household, they have to be on that same page with you. It's part of testing your friends and mates to make sure you're equally yoked. But you are meant for so much more. You are meant to protect an entire kingdom. You are meant to stand guard and watch over those you care about. You are meant to build corporations that exist to A, advance the kingdom of heaven through your business, and B, support your community and your kingdom through your creativity in that business. You are meant for so much more. You're supposed to do so much more. And wherever you are now in life, even if you are financially stable, you have everything going for you, there's still more for you. You have just plateaued, but there's still new heights for you to reach. There's still new goals for you to conquer. There's still new milestones for you to achieve. There's still more for you. There's still more for you. There's still more for you. But I'm going to end it here because I really could just keep going. But yes, till next time, adjust your crowns and honor the royal. Have a good night, loves.